everybody.
Hello,
Jackie. I'm Jackie,
I'm Chrissy.
and
Crystal.
that's Crystal. Welcome to Hey Boo. So, what have we been up to? I had the Ghosty Girls on investigation last night.
I saw that. I tuned in on Swamp Talk, um, and then it went over to Instagram for the Ghosty Girls. So
Yep,
I tried to follow you guys most of the time that you guys were live.
yep, they were awesome.
Looked like you guys got some interesting interaction.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, I'm new to the paranormal investigation. Y'all more into it than me, and I mean, like the ethics method. When you blindfold and you listen. I mean, how is that so accurate? I mean, how do you know that's really that person talking? Essence, yeah. I mean,
Well,
like we put Dana on it, and she like threw the earphones off and said that she heard a growl.
I saw that. I saw that.
Now that was kind of scary.
Um, yes, and it scared the the bejesus out of her. I
Yeah,
saw it when it happened. But the one thing to keep in mind is when you're doing that Estes method, you're taking away some of your senses. So that makes you very vulnerable and that heightens the connection, right? So the Estes method, while can be good and can be effective, it also can be kind of dangerous because you're making yourself more susceptible to, I'm going to say, an attachment or an attack. Now, if you know how to shield yourself, you're okay. But if you don't know how to shield, then that's a problem.
what do you mean shield? Like
I mean exactly like I said. So shielding yourself from anything attaching to you or allowing anything to process into you or attach to you. So I, for instance, use crystals. I also say prayers. I also usually have holy water on me at any given time. In fact, I have some sitting right here. Whoop! Don't go anywhere without it.
so you
Um,
do that before you do the ethics method? You put crystals around you and stuff.
well, I wear crystals, and
Rare,
it
like
depends on what. It depends. Yeah, exactly. You can wear them on your wrist. You can put them in your pocket. You can wear them on a necklace. It doesn't. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. Whatever makes you feel comfortable. And you always need to have, just more than one person there because you got the person that's standing at a distance asking the question so you can't hear, but you need somebody close to you to keep an eye on you. So if your demeanor changes, they can pull the plug and you're done. Crystal, would you agree? I know you guys have done it before.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And I think that when you are more susceptible to that, I think spirits are more comfortable coming to you because you are more less guarded, like you're
Right.
saying. Yeah, we've done it a few times. It's it's surprisingly quite accurate. I mean, you can, whenever you take away your sight, it heightens, like you said, the rest of being able to hear, feel, touch. It just definitely can open up that vulnerability to where spirits are more likely to communicate with you. So yeah, but I definitely agree. Some protection is always a good idea. Have that third person that is, closer to you because you can definitely see how the body will change if something is kind of attacking you or whatever, then that person can be right there to help you out. Yeah, definitely.
even when you're doing the it says before doing the ESP. Is that the same thing we're talking about?
I think that's what he's saying. But yeah, he was on the. I think he was on the live watching too. But the Estes method is what we're referring to, which ESP is.
So maybe any kind of stuff you do, you need protection doing
I would
that.
think so, especially like Crystal said, if you're as sensitive in any way, shape, or form, you definitely don't want to perform that without some sort of protection or shield around you. You always want to have somebody that knows you and knows you well, that is very knowledgeable in not just investigating, but demonology and things like that. And I know Howard is a demonologist, so it's always good to have him on hand. But you just want to have educated people there who know what they're doing, who can help if something goes awry, just to protect you and the team as a whole, for sure.
And too, I found out during that method, and I know a lot of people don't have their husbands with them or their spouse or whomever, but to me, having a spouse or someone that you're very, I don't want to say intimate, but that seems to be to where they know you inside and out, that seems to help out a lot more because they're more in tune with you. So they can actually, they may not be sensitive themselves, but they're sensitive to you. So they know your changes quicker than anyone else.
Right. They're going to know something's up with you and your demeanor no matter what. They don't have to have a spiritual connection. They don't have to know nothing about the paranormal, but they know you. And they know what's normal for you and
Exactly.
what's not normal for you. But if
Hey,
you have a good,
Jennifer.
hi, Jen. So if you have a good team and a good solid team, which you guys do, and you guys know each other well, and of course your husband was there. So I mean that's good for you. But having that second partner to just kind of help the flow of things to ensure that everything's going smoothly. And I'm not saying that that could have been prevented, the growling, but I think had she gone in protected, um, that probably wouldn't have happened.
I mean, she was asking a lot of questions. Could she have promoted him to or it to growl at her?
She was provoking somewhat on the live. She did a little more provoking than I personally would have done. And I understand that this was a very, 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 very bad person. But we also got
Yes.
to remember that, you know, there's a line that you have to ride, even when you're talking to a horrible person who did horrible things. You know, you
You
just,
still want to
it's
have a certain amount of respect just because
absolutely
they were human at one point. You still have to show them some sort of respect. That's for anybody, no matter how bad they were in life or how bad they are as a spirit. You still have to show some respect.
right. Hi, Courtney. Hi, everybody else that said hi. Welcome in. Our subject is winging it. We're just here to chat today. And Josh.
And you were talking about the Estes method, just having, somebody that knows you. And that's going to any location. I mean, you need people around you that you trust, that they know you. I mean, anything can happen at any location. It doesn't even
That's
have to
true.
be an experiment. I mean, you could just be walking through a location, and have something just say, hey. But yeah, I mean, you just need to have people that you trust around you constantly when you're in, an investigation. And always be aware of your surroundings. Um, Most of these places that we go to, um, there some of them are known, some of them are not so known, but it doesn't matter whether it's known or not. You should always know your surroundings, know what's going on, know where your exits are. You never know what's going to happen.
Said Howard said even in death he still pursues her, and
So
that's
the
true.
the man that murdered her and who you
Yeah.
guys were trying to connect with, her murderer still pursues her in death. Now, the big question that I have is, do you think that he is what is holding and bounding her here? Or do you think she has unfinished business aside from him? Why do you
Uh,
guys think he's still here? Did you ever come to any type of conclusion or hypothesis or anything that would tell us why she hasn't crossed that veil?
well, like her last words were "Let me die in peace." So wouldn't that mean that maybe she did go? But you're right. That is a good question. I mean, we never discussed that. I don't think.
So are we saying that she doesn't really think that she's dead? Or she didn't understand that she was dead? Because if she's
Maybe.
saying, let me die in peace, to me, that's saying one of two things. She didn't realize that she was dead, or
Mhm.
she,
What we did?
what?
Howard said we did talk about that.
Well, why ain't Howard on the show?
Howard, why ain't you on the show? Because it's not his show.
I don't care. We have people, all kinds of guests on our shows. I'm just saying.
You
Well,
can come on.
but I just think that it's one of two things. She didn't realize that she was dead, and she wants to go in peace, or she finally realized that she's dead, and she did cross over. But here's the thing: because they cross over doesn't mean they can't come back. Because they can. They can cross that veil. They can jump back and forth. So
Yeah.
just because you help somebody cross doesn't mean that they can't or won't come back. So
Oh,
I don't know that he's holding her here necessarily. Is he haunting her? Possibly. I
yeah.
mean,
Why would he do that though? I
well,
mean,
because he was evil. I mean, evil, evil.
so where he murdered like 6 people, right? Is he doing that to all 6 of them that he murdered? Why just her?
I don't know. What was her ranking? Was she number one, number two, number what? No, how did she fall in the killings?
How did she fall in the killings?
So I'm just gonna have to jump in here for a minute because I'm
Okay.
kind of out of the loop of this because I was at work. I wasn't able, unfortunately, to watch the live.
Okay,
So kind of fill me in what we're talking about.
Oh,
Jackie, tell her about the case and the murder and the
my
grave.
God.
Give her just a brief rundown.
Yeah,
We
just the
we
cliff
are
notes,
doing
just the highlight.
we're doing a documentary on Faith Holloway, and we went last night to her grave. So what happened to her was um she she was excited because she was going into the army, and she went to a party that everybody was giving her, and she was walking home, and these 2 guys, Willie and I forgot the other name, picked her up, and they drove her to the caves in Franklinton, and they 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 killed her, right? And they did a lot more killings other than her.
Didn't they rape her as well? I
Yes,
mean,
they
they
stabbed
brutally,
her
yeah, they
brutally
tortured her.
and left her like almost by the rivers. There's like a river in Franklinton, but like on on the banks of the river in Franklinton where the caves are. They left her there, and she stayed there from like 6 days until they found her. But that was like a big news thing they had about Faith Holloway. They have a movie called Dead Man Walking. You ever saw it?
They also have a book called that.
They do, but I don't think the book or the movie tells the true story of Faith. You know what I'm talking about? I think the one that maybe Gabe's reading does a little bit more inside of it. I mean, a researcher did a pretty good job of researching everything about her and
Right.
everything like
She
that.
did. She did.
So we want to hear her story about what happened instead of hearing other people's stories about what happened to her. We want to make her talk and say her story. So we went there last night to go start a little thing and start investigating her. And we did the ethics methods with the Ghosty Girls did it, and Gabe did it, and Dana did it, and the yeah, it's called Victims of Dead Men Walking. That's what Gabe's reading, and that's a pretty good book. It shows pictures and everything, you know, and those like the Ghosted Girls, they didn't hear nothing vicious, I don't think. But when Dana got on, it's like she wasn't even on 5 minutes, and she was screaming that she heard a growl, and that's why I was.
Hmm.
I mean, do you really? I mean, I never did it. You
But are
know,
we do I so and I don't mean to interrupt because I know Crystal wants to talk after she gets the recap, but so here's my thing. Are we implying that the guy, the murderer who was sentenced to death
it
and
said
died?
it came out. I think it came out of Gabe's mouth. Execution.
Yeah, he was executed. I think it was the lethal injection. But anyhow, so are we implying that the guy, the murderer who died, who was put to death, executed, are we implying that he became something demonic? Because I also heard you guys suggest that a growl is something demonic, which I'm not going to say it isn't, but it isn't always. And just because he was evil doesn't mean that he becomes something demonic. Now, could he? Sure. Did he? I don't know. So, are we suggesting that that was the murderer in demonic form growling in her ear? Is that what we're suggesting? I'm asking.
I think that's what they're suggest. I think what we're suggesting is that he is he has a hold of her. He's with her, just like we said in the beginning. He is with her. You know,
Okay.
and maybe it was him that growled at Dana. Maybe she provoked him to do that.
She provoked something for sure. I don't know that it was him. I don't know. I wasn't there. Not just
Oh,
demonic,
I
also
mean,
evil. Well, we
yeah,
know he's evil. He was a murderer. I mean, a cold-blooded murderer. It
he
wasn't an
was.
accident. It wasn't self-defense. It was he killed her in cold blood, raped her,
Yeah,
tortured her. Yeah, they were awful.
it was.
But anyhow, Crystal, go ahead and tell us what's your take on
Well, it's uh, hmm, that's a good one. I don't really know if someone can really, or a spirit can really have the power to hold another spirit. Um, the only reason I say that is just because if spirits can move from place to place whenever they feel like it, how would another spirit be able to hold that spirit down? That's just my question. So I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? It's kind of hard for me to explain my feelings on that. Do I think another spirit can trap a spirit? I don't know. I mean, I guess if they have the ability to, speak and interact with us, I guess they could have that ability. Um, do I think that if a killer and their victim are possibly interacting? Yeah, sure. I mean, like I said before, we're not experts. So it's all basically a matter of questions and trying to find the answers. So I don't know. I mean, could the growl have been a demonic spirit or demonic? Yes. Could it not have been? Yes. I mean, a growl is not always a demon. It can be a pissed off spirit. I mean,
it?
just trying to intimidate you to leave them the hell alone. Pretty much. Um, I don't know. I mean, what is your thoughts as far as can another spirit hold another one at bay or there with them?
Jackie.
Huh. Oh, I was reading the comments. I don't know.
Get it together.
I was reading the comments. I'm sorry. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, so here's, I guess, and this is where we're gonna kind of see. This is where we pull in religion. Um,
And you don't want to, right?
well,
You don't want.
it's not that. It's not, because I am the first who will tell anybody that I believe in God, I believe in heaven, I believe in hell. What you believe is your personal belief. I'm not going to judge you based on any of your beliefs. But so here's my thing though. So if you have what, like Crystal said, if you have two spirits, both are just entities, which is energy, balls of energy. You have the murderer and you have the victim. If they can move about and they can leave this earth and nothing is binding them to earth, then what's to say that she can't escape his haunting, if you will? Now, if you take and you say he's not just a spirit and he's not just evil, he's become demonic. Was he demonic as a human? Was he possessed as a human and that's why he was a serial killer? I mean, I guess I need to understand that, because as a demon or demonic entity or evil entity, period, they can enter a human body, right? They can hold that human body so long, right? Before they have to let go. Like they can't stay in a human body forever, right? So I guess it's hard for me to say that his spirit is holding her here. Could he? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's why we do paranormal investigations. Did she give you any clue or any inkling that he is holding holding her here somehow? Or is it her holding herself here because she didn't even realize she was dead?
It was a spirit.
Bring up a great
But
point.
she was also
That's
a
what
living
I was
person.
actually just thinking.
We always
Is
said that.
is it really the person that was killed? Is it really their killer that is holding them here, or is it the tragedy, the circumstances that they're holding themselves here?
Exactly.
You know,
Have they
that
not
comes into
processed?
play. Exactly.
Right. Have they not processed the emotions
Exactly.
of what happened to them? Are they holding themselves here because they don't want to admit what they happened to them? Or are they so pissed
Hmm.
off that they're here and they were murdered and they're no longer a human, but yet a spirit? And because they're still
Hmm.
here, he's just following her because he's an asshole spirit to begin
Well,
with.
no, you have to remember. We always say that.
We can't hear you, Howard.
You have to remember what we said. What you are in life is, what you're going to be in death. Correct?
Again, we can't hear you.
Let me go on this side. You got to remember when we talked about this. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. When we talked about this, what you are in life is what you're going to bring in death.
Well,
Okay. If you
sure.
was a good person in life, you're going to be a good person in death. Now,
Sure.
what happens to you in life, you're going to bring that to you with you in death. You
Absolutely.
have to
I
remember.
agree
You
with
have to
that.
remember. She was
I agree.
tortured. She was captured. She was kidnapped. She was raped. She was murdered. She brought that with her at the time when she was suffering at her greatest. She asked to be killed. She wanted to. She didn't want to be tortured no more.
She begged for death.
She begged for death.
Right.
Now, you have to remember this. Her killer. Okay, and I'm not going to mention his name because he's not worth mentioning.
No, and we
His
don't have
killer, her killer, if he can go back and just and I think Mama Plum was talking about this. What can you? How can someone can hold a spirit or keep a spirit on earthbound or just basically capture a spirit or hold it hostage? She was already hostage, and that's all it would take for him just to go back and just capture her again. And she's she's going to be weak minded towards that.
Okay, so
And
then
that's what we were saying. Is it more her trauma that is keeping her in that position than
Well, it's
him
her
actually
trauma, but it's
keeping her? Even though
right.
that could be helping him keep her. I get
But
that.
you got to remember that also. He guys play women and women play guys. It's that age old dilemma, and that's what
true,
he's doing. He
but think
is
about
playing
it.
on that. He's
But
playing
think
it all
about
that.
it. If you piss him off
Mhm.
while talking to him during an investigation isn't that just going to antagonize him and make him feed into her fears even more so? Wouldn't it be better to gear toward helping her resolve whatever she needs to
Right. And that's
resolve so
that's
she
what we
can
were
let
trying to do,
go?
but we were trying to do that, but he kept
Yeah.
breaking through. He kept
Right.
coming through. He kept fighting us. And if it takes it to the point where I'll exercise his ass. I mean, I'll condemn him to hell if I have to. Whatever I have to do, I'll do it.
Sure.
I'm giving him the option of backing off. You know, go a bunch of, go live in hell as you're already supposed to be living in anyway because of what
Right.
you've done. But
Right.
this way I'll bind him to freaking hell if I have to.
Well, and that, I mean, that makes sense, but I think that it would probably help her if you guys moved him out of the
Right,
way and do what you got to
right,
do with him.
Hmm.
right.
You
But the
know,
thing
let,
is, it's helping her resolve her issues with what happened to her right now. That's why we wanted to do this. We wanted to get her story. I wanted to hear her thoughts, her opinions, what she's going through. I'm not worried
sure,
about him. That's
sure.
what the movie took from that. The movie was one sided, all playing the pity card. And you hear me tell him that you might have played a nun, but you're not going to play me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to put up with it.
yeah. I did watch the
Now,
movie.
just for me to know how far from, I'm guessing they're both buried in the same cemetery. Am I correct in
No,
that?
no, no. He's
Okay,
buried
they're not. They're in separate.
he's buried probably about 10 miles away.
Okay. No, just how far is the caves, or from where her body was found? How far away is that from the cemetery that he's
That's
at?
about an hour's drive. That's up in Franklinton, Louisiana.
Okay. How about now? I'm just throwing this out there. If you thought about separating the two of them, if one person, this could be an experiment that you could possibly do. One person be at the caves where the murder happened, one person be at the cemetery where she is,
Mhm.
and see if you cannot lure him back to the place that he had enjoyment
Well,
away from her.
that's what I wanted. Well, it's not the way I wanted to do this experiment in this documentary is first interview her, basically doing an interview. Talk to her, get her EVPs, whatever she's going
Mhm.
through, torture and torment she's going through. Then go into the caves where it actually happened. But the thing is, at the caves, they won't allow you. You can't investigate at night, and you can't bring any paranormal equipment in there. They've done already told us that. So it's going to be like sneaking this shit in. I might have to insert
Well,
some stuff
even
in
I
my
mean, even if
anal
you're
cavity.
close enough,
Howard.
even if you're close enough to the area where it happened, that might be close enough for him, so that you were saying that he kept kind of interrupting when you were speaking with
Right,
her to get
right,
him away from her, so that you
right.
can do the EVP session with her possibly. I mean, that would be a great experiment to see if that's a possibility, to, go up there and kind of play into, hey, this is where this happened. Did you enjoy? I mean, I hate saying that word, but just to lure him there. Did you enjoy what you did here, seeing that person on you know what I'm saying? To get him
Right,
away from her, let him relive what he did because he enjoyed it apparently, and that
Right.
way you can have your time with her without him maybe being there. I mean, it's a great experiment.
yeah, but the thing is, I'm doing this where is uh I want to bring whatever evidence I capture at the caves and whatever evidence I capture from her, because this is not the first go around. I want to be able to talk to her again. I want to get more EVP evidence, more
No,
things from her.
that's what I'm saying
But
though. That's what
but
I'm
I want
saying,
also
Howard,
I'm taking
is
all this
get him
evidence.
away so she can tell her story, so that
But
Right.
that's the
she
thing,
can talk without him interrupting. Yeah.
right? But the thing is, once I get all this evidence from the caves and from her gravesite, then I'm going to his gravesite. And I'm going to force it down his throat. I'm going to make him relive this, and I'm going to torture him like he
But
I'm
see,
going
that's
to him.
not going to hurt him.
But to
He's
him,
going to
it'll be.
enjoy that. He
I don't know
he's
about
going
that,
to enjoy reliving that.
right?
It was,
But
it
not
was,
if I
it,
I
bless his
bel
grave. I mean, fucking man, I hate this bastard right now, dude. I really do hate this.
Well, and rightfully so, because what he did to her was wrong, and no human should have to endure everything she did. But
Right.
ultimately, what she's saying is he that was gratification to him. So
Right,
even when you talk
but
about it,
but what I'm trying to get from Faith is I want her to tell me. I'm trying to get Faith to stand up to him, and I want him to call him a little man, and I want him to call him out, and that's what I want to play at his graveside. I'm
that's
going to
big,
provoke
though,
that.
Howard.
I'm
You
going
know
to
how many
provoke
years
the
of
crap
therapy that takes for a live person to get to when they've experienced rape or any type of
but aren't
major
but
trauma?
aren't but aren't we more enlightened in death than we are in life?
I mean, I've never been dead, so we can
Yeah,
only
it's still
assume.
a learning experience. Yeah,
You've been
yeah.
stunned.
Exactly.
You've been
I
stunned,
mean,
but you haven't been dead.
I've been close.
We're not saying anything about last Friday night's
Shut
show
up.
or nothing
Shut
like
up.
that.
No, no. I'm not talking about that.
So
No.
somebody like him, he's a demon, can hold
Yeah,
faith.
he's not a demon. He's evil. He's just an evil bastard.
How can he hold faith
Exactly.
if faith is
He's
a
holding
spirit?
her just like if it's sort of like a battered woman, and of course, a battered woman will lie about being hit or being battered to the police, and she'll hide it. And that's what's happening here, I believe. She's a battered, basically.
but Howard, if
Evil.
you can get them separated to where he is not, in sense, controlling what she says or what she can say, then maybe she could tell you what she needs
Right.
to get away from him.
And maybe
Because
it's
To
not even
break
maybe
that
it's not even the
connection.
trauma of the event, Howard. There could be something that was going on that was going to happen the next day, 2 weeks from then, that she wants to address. There could
Right,
be
that's what I was kind of asking, because when we were doing EVPs, to me it sounded
can't hear you.
to me she sounded like she had a boyfriend or someone special in her life, because
Mhm.
people say, "Oh no, she didn't have a boyfriend, or she didn't have no." Girl, she was a young lady, and being young like that, they hide stuff that if they're
Sure.
in a relationship, they're not going to,
And
test
maybe
it
maybe
there.
it wasn't a public relationship. Maybe
Correct.
everybody didn't know, which is fine. So maybe there's things left unsaid that she needs to say to him.
Because we kept capturing numbers. A lot of numbers. Three was a big number that kept coming up. Three. And then it was like if she was talking in another person's form.
Can't hear you.
She kept saying faith, faith, faith over and over again through the EVP. So somebody else was there besides faith. Now that's what we was trying to find out. Now I believe Willie came later, but I believe at also the beginning, I think that's who it was. Somebody else was there trying to communicate with her. Also, it wasn't someone there to hurt her; it was someone there to actually try to help.
I was fixing to say, do you think
You
it
know,
potentially I'll wait for Jackie to put the headphones on. So Jackie, do you think that it potentially could have been a guardian angel there with her? That's shielding
Maybe.
her from him on some level?
Could be.
Or do we
It
think
could.
that it's just another spirit, like family member or spirit guide that's with her? Or
She also said father. We heard the father. So
so
maybe
is
it
her
could
father
be.
alive or is he dead?
No, I don't know. Still alive.
He's still alive.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, but so you also have what, grandfather, great grandfather?
Yeah.
So it's possible that, she could have been talking about a father or a fatherly figure that is deceased that's there.
Yeah. That's
Just a
true.
thought. Just a thought.
Yeah.
But I'm with Crystal. I think that you guys should really try to separate the two to get more connection to her. So if
Yeah.
you remove her from her murderer, you're going to get more interaction and she's going to be able to relax more. And there may be things that she wants to say that has nothing to do with him and nothing about the murder, but she don't want to talk about it in front of him because it's none of his daggum business. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Mm-hmm.
He
That's true.
killed her. He killed her. She was what, 18, 19? I mean,
Yep.
she was a baby and he killed her.
Yes. Sad. Yep.
So of course she doesn't want to talk around him, you know? So I'm with Crystal. I would try to split the team and have one team focus on pulling him in one direction, pull her in another, and run your EVP sessions and see what it is
I
she
mean,
needs.
like in the same place. Like
No,
go back to.
right.
Oh.
No,
One group is
no.
at the
You would.
caves.
Oh.
One group
Mhm.
is at the cemetery.
On the same night.
Correct. At the same time.
Yes. Yes.
At the same time.
Oh.
And like I
So
said, I know it's
separate
going to
them.
be
That's a good
hard,
idea.
but I
Separate them,
think
but
to reach out
go
to
ahead.
him, I think you're going to have to entice him. You're going to have to almost, I hate to say it, become the murderer. You're going to have to get him to where he wants to be away from her long enough to relive that experience. So, I mean,
Because
you're going to have to like use
excited to him.
phrases of excitement. Exactly. You know, did you
Right.
get pleasure from this? Did you enjoy watching? You know, I'm not going to go into detail, but those kind of words are what's going to trigger him possibly to go back and relive what he did. Because anybody who is a serial killer, they enjoy what they do. They take pleasure and pride in what they do. So y'all are gonna have to really
Play into that. You're
dig
going to have to
deep
mind play him.
and play. Exactly. Yep.
It creates a.
What?
I was reading what
It creates a
Joshua.
distraction for him so he can't channel her. And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
If you guys pull him in one direction and you get him excited and talking about how the murder and the rape excited him and how he got off on it, I guess would be the best way to put it, which is awful. But
Yeah.
anyhow, you have to get in his mind what he liked, what excited him, what is gonna make him focus on that whole crime and not
Yes.
her. Because in that moment, while you guys have him pulled in this direction and he's talking and he's reliving that and loving every minute of it because he's sick,
Yeah.
whoever is at the cave can talk to her. And he won't pull there. If you keep him distracted long enough over here, you guys are going to be able to communicate with her effectively better in the cave because he's not there. And he's not going to channel to her because you guys are distracting him and he's bragging about what he did. He loved what he did.
Exactly. And you know, like Joshua is saying, you know, you may be able to release her at that time.
What?
Maybe she can get out what she's needing to say.
Is Howard telling you stuff in the background? Like,
He said I wouldn't give him the satisfaction, right?
Well, it's not about the satisfaction of him.
no. It's about distracting
releasing
him.
her. If your ultimate goal is to help her out, that is how you're going to do it. That is how you're
gonna
going to
distract
help
him
her
with what
find
he
out what
wants.
she wants to say. Exactly. He's going to get his day. He's going to get what he deserves. But if you want to help her and get her released from his clutches, so to say, that is a way to do it.
What did Howard say?
He can like focus him on in other ways than him getting his rocks off on it.
That may be the only way you guys keep him channeled and focused. I mean, you can try to piss him off. I'm sorry. Oops. You can try to make him angry, but that's only going to keep him pinpointed for a second. Because let's remember that he's an evil person and he does evil things. So he likes to brag about those things. So what's going to pull him into talking to you better than bragging about the crap that he did to this innocent child?
Yes.
He's not going to be focused on what you guys are doing with her.
Sure.
I mean, now if you tick him off and you incite a little bit of argument with him by calling him scum, okay, that'll keep his attention for all of a few seconds. But you're not going to keep that draw because he doesn't care what you think about him.
Yeah.
He wants to brag
You
about
want,
what he did.
you want to ask him about what he did so he could stay, right? You want him to talk.
Exactly.
So then
Now,
you can
now
have.
also, was it only females that he would
No.
murder, or was there men included?
Yeah, there were men too.
Yep. I think there was a cop. What? What? Yeah. He killed a couple of men.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because I was gonna say,
One was a child,
you know,
and one
typical,
was a deputy. A
typical,
deputy.
typical fashion. Most serial killers, from what I've read and things like that, they want to kill people that are not manly, not strong, not, you know what I'm saying? They want to pick on the weaker. Even though I don't believe women are weaker, don't hate me for that one, but women, children, things like that. So, I'm kind of was just wondering if he had killed men also, because if he hadn't killed men and it would have been mostly women or children, then a man would intimidate him. So, that probably wouldn't really work if he's intimidated by a man. He's just going to go back to the female spirit and take it out on her. You see what I'm saying?
But
So that's why I
whoever
was wondering if he
whoever
killed
is
men
pulling
also.
him and directing the flow of the conversation with him has to be well grounded, has to have protection on,
Mm-hmm.
has to keep their emotions at bay. Because if you derail your own emotions in that moment, then you have lost him and off he goes. And then the conversation that they're having with
Mm-hmm.
her in the cave is going to be lost. So you got to keep
Right,
him
right.
centered and keep him focused on bragging about what a piece of crap he is.
I don't know.
Just
Yeah,
And
we
saying.
have
gotta
him
try
talk
that.
about, the other ones that he had, the other kills. I
What?
mean, anything that has to do with a victim, he is going to want to stay and like you said, relive that. That's going to give him satisfaction. That's going to keep his attention more than anything, because he's going to want to brag about that for sure.
Right. Right.
I know. Did
The
he like women and men? That's what your brother asked, Kevin.
Well, I mean, he killed both women and men, but if you mean like in a sexual nature, I can't answer that. I don't know. I haven't done all the research. That'd be a question for
He was a
Dana.
serial. He was a serial killer. He killed anybody.
Well, some serial killers only have, let's say, females or males or
That's
prostitutes.
true.
Or, it depends on what type of serial killer we're talking about. But he did kill both, Kevin. Um,
Yes.
he was a sick-minded, evil individual for sure. For sure. But yeah, Joshua made a good point. Engage, don't antagonize, while engaging him while you're simultaneously working with her spirit, or it could turn out worse. So you don't want to, you want to help her. So in helping her while it's sick and is going to be hard to maintain focus and emotion and hold your anger and hurt in for this
Hmm.
girl, and every all the victims, not just her, all the victims. That's what you're going to have to do to
Right.
keep him distracted so you guys can work with her without him being there. Because if you don't, it's just going to be it's going to be a banter back and forth, and you're never going to get anywhere with her.
Yeah. Have you ever had a case like this before?
Yep.
Have you ever worked on one like this before?
I've never worked on an investigation per se with a serial killer. I have been to Crown Point Jail, which there was a serial killer, renowned serial killer, which I can't remember their name, but he was housed there. John Dillinger was housed there. You know the movie Public Enemies with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
The jail scene, it was Lake County Jail. So it was the Crown Point jail that we were in and we investigated in, where they filmed that part of the movie, because that's the jail that he actually escaped from. So I mean, in essence, yes, kind of, sorta. But I mean, I am a documentary buff. I am that girl who watches all that stuff on serial killers. Murder, death, kill is my thing. Like, I fall asleep listening to those shows. I know.
You like watching it.
Yeah,
I do.
that's me.
I do. It's interesting because to me, you would have to be a couple of things. Number one, evil. Number two, mentally ill. Or number three, possessed by something. Or all three together. Because the average human person does not go around killing people. They just don't. Now, does self-defense happen and people die? Absolutely. Do accidents happen and people die? Absolutely. I'm talking about these sick people who just go out and torture and kill people.
Yeah, they must be like
Mhm.
possessed or something, right?
I mean, I'm sure some probably are. I'm not going to say that they're not. Or they may have severe mental illness, or they may just be pure evil. They really don't have a soul.
Yeah.
Oh, good God, Howard.
Yes, we will, Howard. I'll be over at your house and we'll be plotting it out, buddy.
I do like watching it. I like watching like real stories of them,
Me too.
and stuff. I love watching crimes like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting. The
it
human
is.
psyche to me is what's so interesting. I mean, because like I said, the average person just doesn't do that. You have a soul, you have a conscience. At the end of the day, even if you don't like somebody, are you going to brutally harm them? No, you're not. You're not. You don't wake up one day and just say, "Oh, I think I'm going to be a serial killer."
Yeah,
There have to be playing factors that feed in to either creating that monster or they were that monster from the beginning.
yep. Some people are just twisted.
I agree, Josh.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Well, you know what's actually kind of interesting about it is trying to figure out where they're coming from. Because, I mean, there's been serial killers that have actually had families that, had a wife, kids, that they treated very well.
The
But, in
BTK
their
killer.
spare time, it was like, exactly, that's the one I was actually thinking of. In their
Yeah.
spare time, that's what they like to do. It was like their hobby. It just is fascinating to try to think like them. How can you, over what 30 years, hold down a job, have a family, go to your kids' school functions? Are you sitting there thinking, all right, she's going to be my next one? And then, going through and it's just it's crazy to get into that mindset. That's what makes serial killers, I think, kind of fascinating to people, to try to put themselves in that shoes,
It is
looking at
fascinating.
people and thinking,
It
okay,
is.
it's just
It is.
crazy.
But think about it. So, but you kind of laid it out though, Crystal, because think about it. He had one life over here and one life over here, and he kept them separate for that long a time, right?
Hmm.
So
Yep.
probably split personality, multiple personality disorder, um, something in that area to balance all that. Because I wouldn't
Hmm.
think that you could balance all that if there weren't some mental illness at play. And that's not justifying it by any means, because I don't care if he's got two personalities and personality B was a serial killer and personality A was a priest, which he wasn't. But you get my point. It doesn't matter. You still got to hold personality B accountable, even though personality A didn't do the stuff, right?
Right.
Right,
I'm just
exactly.
saying.
And
I'm just
what
saying.
what else is fascinating too is think about their family. You know, the wife, in many situations, or, the husband, whatever, how did they not see the signs? That's how good they were at portraying, that pristine life. That's how good of a manipulator they were, that the family never saw any signs.
Yes and no, but think about it like this. Now, we all know that love is blind, and we all know as parents and spouses, sometimes
Hmm.
there are things we have tunnel vision. So while people on the outside looking in can be like, man, there were signs, red flags, the balloons were going up in the sky.
Right.
Why didn't you see that? Well, because you have that tunnel vision, because you want the best in that person. So you're gonna overlook certain things that are normally red flags, that everybody on from the outside looking in saw. John Wayne Gacy. He was a prominent member of society. He was a big serial killer in Chicago. He was the very first serial killer that was put to death on live television, on court TV.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, you just you don't know. I mean, they can hide things well, but I think that there's always red flags, but I think that when we're close to somebody, sometimes we overlook those red flags because we love them and we have that tunnel vision. Exactly, Howard. You turned a blind eye. You
And
know, you love them and you're like, oh, well, they would
Yeah.
never do that. Why? Because you want to see the best in them. Unless you specifically see them
Well, yeah.
doing that act, you know what I'm saying? You're probably going to
Right.
ignore those signs that if, you know, I don't know, Mary Beth across the way is putting up all those signals, you're going to see them. Why? Because she's your neighbor. You don't love her like you do your children or your spouse. I'm just saying. Just a thought. I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you have to
oh,
be
I'm
taken
sorry.
into account, though. You do have to be a great manipulator. I mean, you
Oh,
really do, to
absolutely.
pull off some of the stuff that they have. I
And
mean,
narcissistic
there
at
is
that.
no way. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's what's your thoughts on what Eileen War? Can't say the
Warner.
last name. Yeah, no, was on the screen. Maybe
Warner.
we can do a show on her next week. I think we did one a long time ago on 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 killers like that. I don't think
Well,
you were on, but I
well,
think we did
we,
one on. We should do one next
we
week,
can
huh?
revisit that next week. See, you got people requesting. See, this is an all new road we're traveling. We're going to talk
Thank you,
about serial
Joshua.
killers. Yeah.
Yep.
Now everybody knows that we're those girls that watch the Murder Death Kill show and read the books.
Watch the movies.
That's right.
I I watched that movie with her in it. I
Which
kept falling asleep.
That's me. I use the TV to go to sleep. So but it's okay. If it's really interesting, it'll keep me up.
There's some good movies out there like that. I just like watching true movies about stuff like that.
Kevin, I'm gonna tag her so she can replay it, sir. She's gonna be right there with us. Oh, Beth. I love you, sister. We're talking about serial killers and the
Yes.
sick minds.
And how they can attach to people.
Well, see,
Even,
that's.
I mean, I mean, even the ones that were serial killers before, you think they're attached to their the victims still.
See, I don't Beth would be a good one, which I know we only got like 3 4 minutes left. But
Yeah.
so Beth, we were talking about, can a spirit bind another spirit to earth? Like a murderer, can they bound their victim here so the victim can never cross over? Um, I I don't know how that's possible. And I'm not saying that it's not. We were discussing that. So if you could kind of give us kind of guidance on your take on that and what you think. And we think that we can separate the two. And if she wants to cross over to get away from him, she can. But I think that that's a whole show. Well, okay, we're gonna have to schedule you, ma'am, because this whole show has been about their live investigation that they did last night. So
And y'all gave some good
Well, that
points
kind
and
of is
everything.
the same premise as why is it that certain spirits do hang around and do communicate, where other ones do not? Where
Sure.
let's say, for example, you have a friend that passed away and you've tried to reach out to them and you get no response from them. But however, you have another friend that passed away and you talk to them all the time. What's the difference? Why is this one still here and this one isn't? Is it because this one's bound and this one's not, or is it's the same basic principle of why they do and why they don't?
yes and no. On some level, I agree with you, but on another level, so for my personal experience, so I do investigations. I do home investigations. I do cleansings, things like that. I do light work, but so I think sometimes spirits don't connect to us because we, as the living entity, are not ready. Like, I had a husband who was killed in 2019. I begged and I pleaded and I wanted to have that connection and to talk to him and to hear from him. But it took a year and a half. And it wasn't me asking for that connection. He just came through. And I wasn't the only one there, which thank goodness. But so when he did come through, it was his voice, and he knew things that no one else could have known. Nobody. Nobody. So I think that I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because his death wouldn't have been real, right? So if I can talk to him, he dies today, and I can talk to him tomorrow, then I never would have had that grieving process to get through the death. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
if you have your best friend in the whole wide world that dies today, you're probably not going to be able to talk to her tomorrow because you haven't grieved that loss, that death. You haven't let go of them being a human that is going to walk through your front door. I think that and I'm not saying that that's the instance on every case. I just think that on some cases that's why they don't connect right away. They can also jump the veil, in my opinion. They can cross, they can go into the light, and they can come back. And then if they get tired of being here and talking to us and hanging with us, they can go back over. I think it's a flowing door.
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
once
let me
they
throw this
cross
one
that
at
they're
you.
stuck.
You know how you were saying that you don't believe that your husband came to you because you weren't really ready to accept, or wasn't ready to hear from him from the beyond, let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
What if the spirit itself has not accepted what has happened to him?
exactly. What if they don't realize they're dead? Or what if they haven't
Exactly.
accepted that
Yeah.
they're dead? I mean, that could be a big playing factor too. But I know for my personal experience, I wasn't
Right.
ready.
Right.
I wasn't ready.
Right.
This
But you're right. They could not be ready.
yeah.
Yep.
This is
So
a great
And there's
topic
no
that we had, but it's going on 7. We might have to end this show and like keep going next week with it.
I
But
know,
your
Howard.
last thoughts to what you wanted to say, Crystal?
No, I was just saying, you know how Howard says that he still haven't grieved properly as of yet. Howard, there is no time limit on grieving. There is nothing that says that you have to be done in 2 years. There's nothing that says you have to be done in 10 years. Honey, you may grieve every day just a little bit until the day that you pass on. And that's perfectly fine. That's life. Nobody has a set point of grieving. Period.
I agree with that. And I think that grieving actually is a lifelong process. I think
Yes.
that it gets easier as time goes on, but I don't think you ever get over a loss. You just
Nope.
learn
Nope.
to harness those happy memories and keep a legacy alive. My thoughts.
Yep.
Love you, Beth.
Well, we're
We'll
gonna end the
continue
show.
next week.
We're gonna end the show, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming on. Thank y'all. Have a good night,
Bye,
and bye
everybody.
until next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.